Okay, our next journal, our journal 4.2, is solving systems of equations by substitution. So your journal looks like this. It's this yellow piece of paper. And you're actually going to fold. My idea was that you would fold each one of these kind of in halfway, almost like I don't know. I don't know what it's almost like, honestly. But something like this. And it didn't turn out as cute as I wanted it to because I know that you can't see the whole word equations. It kind of ran off a little bit. So you know that my OCD is going to try and fill that in a little bit. So this is how to solve systems of equations. How to solve systems of equations by substitution. So when you glue this into your book, you're actually going to glue the back of it, put glue on the back of it and stick it right into your journal. And then it'll open up like this. Um, so yeah, that was my vision for this one. Hopefully you can help process and work through it because it didn't come out as fabulous as I wanted it to. So here we go. Solving. I'm going to shut this shade or try to. So hopefully that's a little bit better. Okay, so solving systems of equations by substitution. So first, you're going to solve for one variable out of the two. Solve for one. Typically, we try to solve for y. Typically, we try to solve for y, S, F, y. However, I want you to solve for whatever variable has no coefficient or has a coefficient of 1. Okay, try to isolate the variable that doesn't have a number attached to it, no coefficient. So you're going to replace that variable into the other equation. You're going to replace that expression, and then you're going to solve, and then you're going to use the value to plug in to an original equation for the other variable, and then make sure that you write your solution as an ordered pair. Your solution is an ordered pair. Okay, so let's try and do this first one together. Let's do this first one together, and then maybe we can freeze and let you guys do the second one. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at both my equations, and I like to number them. So I'm going to call the first one equation number 1 in example A, and the second one equation number 2. That just helps keep them straight in my brain. So I notice that equation number 1 is already solved for y. It already has y isolated. So I'm going to take this expression. This expression says that y equals the value 2x minus 4. And I'm going to substitute that into the next equation. So I'm going to take equation number 2, 7x minus 2y equals 5. And I am going to sub in 2x minus 4 for the y term. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sub in 2x minus 4. So what does that look like? Well, that gives me 7x minus 2 times the quantity, 2x minus 4 equals 5. So now I have to do some fabulous math here. I'm going to do some distributing. So that gives me 7x. A negative 2 times a positive 2 is a negative 4. So I have negative 4x. Negative 2 times negative 4 is plus 8 equals 5. Well, 7 minus 4 is 3. So I have 3x. And I'm also going to subtract 8 from both sides. 3x equals negative 3. Divide both sides by 3, and I find out that x equals negative 1. But we're not done yet. Remember that we have to take that x equals -1, and we have to plug it back in to one of the original equations. So I'm going to take x equals -1, and I'm going to plug it into equation number 1. So plug into equation 1. So what does that look like? Well, that's the equation y equals 2x minus 4, but I'm going to let x equal -1, so 2 times -1 minus 4. Well, 2 times -1, that's -2. So -2 minus 4, y equals -6. Okay, so now I have my solution, which I write as an ordered pair, -1, comma, -6, but I still need to check this. So I'm going to do the check. CK, check. Y, which is -6, equals 2 times x, which is -1, minus 4. Let's see, -6 equals 2 times -1 is -2, minus 4, -6 equals -2 minus 4 is -6. So this checks out. Good. Let's do the check for the second equation, because remember, it has to work for both. 7 times x, which is -1, minus 2 times y, which is -6, equals 5. Well, 7 times -1, that's -7. A -2 times a -6, well, that's a positive 12. Has to equal 5. -7 plus 12, well, that is 5. 5 does, in fact, equal 5. So that's how we're going to do that. That is complete. Now let's do the next example. So for our next example, I am going to choose to take equation number 1, and I'm going to solve for x. I'm going to take equation number 1, and I'm going to solve for x. So I'm doing that with equation number 1. So 3y plus x equals 4. Well, to solve for x, I just subtract 3y from both sides. So x equals -3y plus 4. Okay, so now what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to take that expression that I have for x, this value right here, and I'm going to plug it in. So I'm going to plug in -3y plus 4 for x in equation 2. Now, you don't have to write all of that out. It's just I'm trying to make sure that this journal is helpful for you, right? You get to use this on your quiz. So let's make sure it has some information that's going to be helpful for you. So equation number 2, y, oops, I want to change colors, sorry. Equation number 2, y minus 2x equals 6. Y minus 2, well, x is now going to be substituted with the expression 3y plus 4, sorry, -3y plus 4, equals 6. So now I have to do some fabulous math here. Y, a -2 and a -3 plus 6y, -2 positive 4 minus 8 equals 6. Well, 1y and 6y give me 7y plus, minus 8 equals 6. Now I'm going to add 8 to both sides. So 7y equals 14. Divide both sides by 7, and I know that y equals 2. All right, so that's all I've done is I've just solved for y. I still have to plug it back in and find x. So I'm going to go back to equation number 1, and I'm going to plug in y equals 2. So 3 times 2 plus x equals 4. 6 plus x equals 4. Subtract 6 from both sides. X equals -2. Whew. So my solution for this is the ordered pair -2, comma 2. Now I still have to do the checks. So let's see. So for the first one, 3y plus x equals 4. Well, 3 times 2, y is 2, plus x, which is a negative 2, equals 4. 3 times 2 is 6, minus 2 equals 4, and 6 minus 2 does in fact equal 4. We have to check the second equation. So our second equation, y minus 2x equals 6. Well, y is 2, so 2 minus 2 times the quantity, x is negative 2, equals 6. A negative 2 times a negative 2, well, that's a positive 4, equals 6. And 2 plus 4 is, in fact, 6. So, again, we have checked both of our equations. Our solution works for both of them. So, we have solved using substitution. We have solved using substitution. So, this is your solve by substitution journal. This is your solve by substitution journal. And you're going to glue it into your learning journal, put glue on the back side, and it just pops open like this. Okay.